The second point about paradise, and we alluded to this before, that there is no fighting, there's no grudges, there's no jealousy, there's no bitterness, there's no uneasy feeling in your heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in Surah Hijr, verse 47, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِم مِّنْ غِلٍّ إِخْوَانًا عَلَى سُرُرٍ مُتَقَابِلِينَ. Allah describes the people of heaven that we have removed from their chests any ghil. Ghil is basically all these bitter feelings and emotions, grudges, hatred, jealousy. Ikhwanan, you're like true brothers who love one another. So enmity is taken from our hearts when we enter paradise. That's why the people of heaven, no one envies the other person. No one has a problem with anyone. Because Allah removes that from our nafs. Allah removes all that from our hearts. That's truly harmonious. So this is another feature of paradise here. The third point, because heaven is a place of divine bliss and Allah has honored the human being, there is nothing in heaven that degrades the human being or puts him in a compromised state or in a difficult state. For instance, here in dunya, one aspect that we experience to humble us so we don't become arrogant is that this human body, as much as we love it and we take care of it, if you leave it without taking care of it, you can imagine what happens to this body. The odor, the stench, right? So for instance, here in dunya, if a person, for instance, sweats, perspires, there is an odor to it. Not in paradise. In paradise, there is no unpleasant perspiration. In fact, the perspiration, the sweating of the people of paradise is perfume. So imagine wherever they go, when you do a physical activity, you exude perfume from you. And that's heavenly perfume. Another aspect of dunya, which we have in hadith that should humble the human being, is that the food that we eat gets digested. So here in dunya, there's defecation. And that is to humble the human being. You, human being, you're so arrogant. Look what comes out of you. Why are you so arrogant? In akhirah, there is no defecation in heaven. So people eat fruits, لحم طير مما يشتهون, everything we've examined before. But yes, but there is no defecation over there. In fact, in one hadith, Imam Baqer alayhi salam was asked about the people of heaven. كيف صاروا يأكلون ولا يتغوطون? How is it that the people of heaven eat, but then nothing comes out of them? How is that even possible? So they told him, give us an example in this dunya. Don't talk theoretical things for us. Give us an example. The Imam alayhi salam says, okay, I'll give you an example from dunya. هذا الجنين في بطن أمه يأكل مما تأكل أمه ولا يتغوط. Says, you see the fetus in the womb of its mother? For 9 months, it eats what its mother is eating, basically. It's getting all those nutrients, but it really does not defecate like a born person. So the Imam just wanted to give them an example. Look, it's possible. God can do it. Don't say it's impossible. Because they had a hard time absorbing this and digesting it. Like how? They're eating all that food in paradise. Where's that food going to go? The Imam is saying all the food that the janeen gets, the fetus, where does it go, right? Now scientifically we know what happens, but the Imam is just giving them a simple example that yes, it's possible to live without necessarily defecating. So this is another feature of paradise, because in paradise, Allah wants to honor the human being. Here, there's nothing that makes you unpleasant. There's no bad smell, there's no odor, there's nothing that's unpleasant. It's all purity, purity, purity. So that's another feature and dimension of paradise. Okay, the sixth point. Do we have children in heaven? We know that Allah will resurrect us and will go to heaven, the mu'mineen inshallah. When they enter heaven, they'll be looking like 18-year-olds. Men and women will all be looking like they're 18, according to our hadiths. Now, there is no procreation there, meaning a woman doesn't get pregnant there. So, what if a mu'min says, Ya Allah, I want a child here. I love spending time with children. I want kids. Can you have that? In the book of Al-Ihtijaj, by At-Tabarsi, one of the great scholars of the past, he mentions a number of letters that were sent to Al-Imam Al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajah, so he can answer them. One of those letters had this question. They asked Al-Imam Al-Mahdi in that tawqi', in that letter, that do the people of heaven procreate? Do they have children? The Imam alayhi salam, according to this narration, responded the following. The Imam alayhi salam states, إِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ لَا حَمْلَ فِيهَا لِلنِّسَاءِ وَلَا وِلَادَةٍ. Women don't have to go through pregnancy and whole birth, right? Labor and birth, they don't have to go through that. Okay, so what if I want a child? فَإِذَا اشْتَهَى الْمُؤْمِنُ وَلَدًا. The Imam alayhi salam in this tawqi' states, if a believer desires to have a child, خَلَقَهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلْ بِغَيْرِ حَمْلٍ. Allah will create him without the need for pregnancy. وَلَا وِلَادَةً. He doesn't need to, be born like we are born in this dunya. عَلَى الصُّورَةِ الَّتِي يُرِيد. Allah will create that baby for you as you wish. What kind of baby do you want? With what kind of specifications, qualities, looks? Allah will honor that request. So we have a hadith that states, yes, if a mu'min believer desires to have children in paradise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him children. However, though there's no need for that pregnancy process. In other words, Allah will give you whatever you want. Allah will make you happy in paradise. The ninth point, and we'll conclude. Is there hijab in heaven? We don't have any specific verse or hadith that says that. But here's what we know in one line. We know there is no burden or taklif in heaven. Allah will not burden females in heaven. There's no taklif. Heaven is a place of reward. There's no obligation or taklif there. So, if the hijab is going to be a burden on them in heaven, it's lifted. We know that for sure. If it's something they'll freely want to choose to, to decorate themselves in public with the hijab, that's up to them. But we don't have any hadith that says they have to wear the hijab or they cannot wear the hijab. What we know is you get whatever you desire and there's no burden on you. That's all. So, I will leave it at that.